Oh boy, Kenny Wallace tells us how he really feels about a couple things, so let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, let's jump right into the first part of this clip from Mr. Kenny Wallace on Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called now.
It's 9:23 and I have to comment on the video so you can see my face about Dale Jr.'s comment. And for the people that don't know it, Dale Jr. started his show back up this week, and I loved him. He was very vocal. He was pretty pissed, and he said there's only one place for the Bud Shootout. It's Daytona. Bring it back. He don't care if there's 14 cars in the race. That's where it needs to be. Now, we all agree with Dale Jr. Dale Jr. is like that old commercial. When E.F. Hutton talks, everybody listens. So NASCAR's listening too.
So he starts that first clip off saying he agrees with Dale Jr., who Dale Jr. on his podcast did say, hey, the Clash should be held in Daytona. Not only that, he went on to say it should be basically the original Clash format where it is only pole winners, no added extra drivers like NASCAR did later. It should only be 20 to 25 laps, which is what it originally was before NASCAR bloated it, and that's why you got cars riding around, and also the bigger, field caused for the bigger wrecks and pileups. And of course, you didn't qualify for it. You just drew your name, or you drew your qualifying position out of actually a Bud Light bottle at the time. I guess it would be a Busch Light bottle now. So anyway, that was the original format, and that is what he's referring to when he says he agrees with Dale Jr. But he then qualifies that by saying we all want it back at Daytona. And I can tell you just from, he's got a much bigger YouTube channel than me, much bigger Twitter presence than me. But I can tell you just from my small YouTube channel, everybody does not want it back at Daytona, okay? So he qualifies it with sort of something that's not exactly accurate. There are a lot of people that want it to move around. So he states that like it's a fact, but that's not necessarily a fact. There are quite a few people that do want it to move around. The other thing here is him and Dale Jr., in my opinion, fall into this mentality of all or nothing, where it always has to be at Daytona or it always has to be somewhere else. And even the detractors that wanted to move around, they're in that same mindset of it always has to be somewhere else. Obviously, on my previous show, where the big one with the orange one with Denny Hamlin's face on the big orange background, I threw out this concept, so I'm not going to rehash it again, but here it is real quick just before we move on to the next point. Have it at Daytona every 4th year. You get the nostalgia, you get the proper speed weeks and all that, and then the other 3 years you move it around somewhere else. But qualifying it by saying that everybody wants it at Daytona, not necessarily accurate from the comments that I've read in the comment section. He does, however, continue, and I think he does make an actual good point here, so let's see what he had to say.
So I want to comment on Dale Jr. commenting that the Bud Shootout needs to be back at Daytona. While we all agree with Dale Jr., then you all need to show up. It pisses me off equally that you all go, yeah, it needs to be back to Daytona. All I ever remember you all saying is, they wreck too much. It's boring. Look, there's nobody in the grandstands. So, because of everything you all said, they wreck too much, there's nobody in the grandstands, they tried something, right? They went out to the LA Coliseum, but it's not what you want. Now you want it right back to where you said you didn't like it. You know what this is? You know what that is right there? That's a forked tongue. It means you speak out of this way, then you speak out of that way. Make your mother mind up. My Herman. Who was that just came in? So anyway, comment right here. What do you want? I feel it's a psychological issue. I still think it comes down to that song. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Respond right here. Did you all make a mistake? Did you bitch too much about Daytona? They wrecked too much. Look, there's nobody in the grandstands. Almost spilled my coffee. Damn, that was close. All right. Good job, Dale Jr. Great content. And I must say, it's been a while since I I like this. I think this is a new Dale Jr. He's pissed. He come out guns a-blazing. Don't see that very much. I like that, Dale Jr. I like that.
So 2 things before I address the actual points he made here, which I think are pretty good and valid. I want to say that I cut off the singing for the most part because I didn't want to destroy your eardrums, although you did hear a little bit of it. And also, he sort of uses some language with the fans there, and he can get away with it because he's Herman. He's got a big personality like that. But I'm always from the Richard Petty school of thought. I'm not a big fan of throwing those words around when referring to the fans. But that being said, I like Kenny Wallace, so it's not like a shot. It's just something I prefer not to do. So I did want to make those points clear before I made my points. But the point he makes here is that the fans did not attend, first off. So that's one thing I did want to address. Like, all the people that say it should be back in Daytona, it should be back, yeah, we need to attend it too. We need to vote with our butts and not with Twitter. Twitter is not real life. All the opinions you see on social media, that's not real life. If you really want to make an impact, we need to vote with our ticket sales and putting our butts in seats. When we ask for things like this, I ask for the gates to be open on Saturday at the Clash of the Coliseum. Not as many people showed up as I was hoping for. I still think it was the right move, but when we make a big stink about something like that, we need to vote with our butts too, not just our mouths on social media and stuff like that. So I think that's the first point that needs to be made here. I also want to point out it is not quite as cut and dry about the attendance thing either, because when the attendance numbers started going down, that's when NASCAR had gotten away from the original system. If you look at the original system of how the race was originally won, there was always a lot more fans when it was just, 15 or 16 drivers or whatever, and then you had, your 20 laps, and they drew their qualifying positions out of a bottle. Like those crowds and stuff like that were always much better. It's when they started bloating it by adding more drivers and adding more laps, NASCAR always wanting more and more and more, right? It's when they bloated it like that, that's when you saw the attendance go down. So I don't think it's necessarily apples to apples. I think I would like to see the original format and how many fans would attend if it was the original format. So I'll throw that in there as a caveat as well. The other point he makes that I think is pretty valid also is you don't know what you have till it's gone. I'm not going to sing it as eloquently as he did. But yeah, I think he does have a point there. People didn't miss the Clash until it was taken away, and NASCAR tried something else. So kudos to NASCAR for trying something else. Not everybody liked it. Some people did like it. It is what it is. Let me know down in the comments, of course, if you liked it or didn't like it. But yeah, people complained about the Clash. I think he is fair about that. And then they complained about the Clash when they moved it to the Clash at the Coliseum. So either way, NASCAR was getting complaints. So which complaints do you listen to if you're NASCAR? I think that's a fair criticism, that NASCAR fans do enjoy complaining quite a bit more than they enjoy praising certain things with NASCAR and saying that they didn't know what they had till it was gone. I think that's a fair point. The other thing he said in here is that Dale Jr. was pissed, and he likes a pissed off Dale Jr. I don't think that Jr. was necessarily mad or anything like that. I saw it more of just Dale Jr. had finally been pushed to where he has to tell the truth. He always likes to be a people pleaser. He always likes to play both sides of the fence between the fans and NASCAR and try to be the mediator to bring those two things together. But I think he realizes here that NASCAR is so far off that to him, it's just so glaringly obvious what needs to be done that he couldn't be quiet about it anymore. So I didn't really see it as him being mad just so much as he had been pushed to where he just needed to say something. But either way, I do agree with him. I do like seeing this version of Dale Jr. where he just comes out and gives his honest opinion and doesn't necessarily worry about being the people pleaser that he normally is. So I do like that. And also as well, I think he makes a good point. But like I said, both of these guys are thinking about it the wrong way, one or the other, where you could live in a world where you have both, where you do Daytona every 4 years and then you move it around every 3 years. I still think that's the best solution, but it is what it is. Let me know down in the comments, I guess, what you think about it. But yeah, that's all I got for you on this one. Thought it was really interesting that Kenny Wallace came out just came out guns a-blazing. Not really unusual for him, but unusual for him that he gets this aggressive with it, with the language and all that. So I thought that was interesting and did want to comment on it. But yeah, that's all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, would love to have your subscription. If not, I'll just keep making these things. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate you all as well. And until the next one, thanks for your time. Peace. A little bit of a different setup. I got the camera further away, so you got the leading lines that are supposed to take you straight to my face. I've been watching so many tutorials, and also wanted to point it out, Red Solo Cup, you know who that's for. Rest in peace, Toby Keith.